Hey, I'm April.
And I'm Bayleigh, and this is Season 2 of the Nestled Podcast.
Last year we did something dramatic. We both moved our families across town to the same neighborhood. Our plan was to link arms as we intentionally loved our neighbors.
A few months later, we felt called to link arms with all of you as well. And that's when the Nestled Podcast was born.
Here we chat about how to help design meet purpose. Our hope is that you will find inspiration to live more intentionally. We want you to love your home, to love your neighbor, and ultimately to love and serve the Lord.
Every home has a story, and in ours, we're trying to create a culture that's both a launching pad and a soft place to land. So join us each week as we let you peek in our nests. As always, the door will be open. Hello, everybody.
Hey, today's a special day.
It's our birthday.
Happy birthday.
I would sing, but I'm not the worship leader in this duo.
Well, I actually told Bayleigh before we started that we should have done a smash cake photo shoot for this celebration.
We're terrible at marketing, though, so
Right.
That didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's okay. For those of you who are new around here, I'm Bayleigh.
And I'm April.
And this is the Nestled Podcast.
We're so glad that you joined us.
Our first birthday was actually last Wednesday, but then we decided not to air an episode of celebration because we knew that Hurricane Michael was going to be hitting the Florida Panhandle that day. So
Yes.
if any of our listeners were impacted by that storm, we are praying for you, and
We hope to have some opportunities to be able to serve you in some way as your neighbors to the west
Yes.
in the coming days. And we are so sad to
yeah.
see the devastation on television, and we've been there.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those really terrible, when you feel bad praying whenever we were praying for the storm to turn east because it looked like it was heading right at us, but then you're like,
I don't
want it to hit someone else
Right.
either, so it's just one of those really hard situations. But
Yeah.
we're thankful that our city wasn't hit, but are devastated for those who were, because we know without that one last minute turn east, it would have been here.
Yeah. I do think that there is beauty that we see after the storm, and that we can see people rising up and being neighborly in a way that I don't know that people recognize the needs around them in the day-to-day.
Right.
But to watch these people who are going out of their way, actually one of our elders was just sent to Florida with his job to help. But even the people who live in the same community who maybe have never had a relationship, and all of a sudden they're like linking arms and they're doing this together. And so I think we can all learn from that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're also praying for all the first responders that are still working around the clock, and the linemen, which I never knew until recently to appreciate the linemen.
Yeah.
Until now I'm getting old enough that I have friends whose spouses are linemen, and they're like working around the clock. They're sleeping in their cars. They're going all day without even being able to eat anything. They're not stopping, and it's looking like it could be another 6 months before power is restored fully.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're praying for all of them as well as their spouses too. So
Lots of people who are on the ground trying to help, and we're super thankful for that. And I think that all of us can kind of take a step back and look around and see the people around us in a fresh light. I think it's good to always get a good kick in the pants of perspective.
Right, and we need to use that motivation to reach out to your neighbors now. Don't let it have to be an emergency. Don't let it have to be a huge disaster before you get to know your neighbors. Like, you have the opportunity today to start a relationship.
That we are encouraging one another to do that is through our new book club.
Yay! As we were approaching a year,
1 year
for our podcast, we're looking at each other and going, okay, what brings us to the next level? How we've been wanting and desiring community among our listeners, and we want each to be able to encourage you guys and you to be encouraging us, like actually put this stuff into action.
Yes.
And so we came up with the idea of having this book club. And within that group, we're also going to be sharing successes and failures with our neighbors and giving ideas and trying to encourage each other and root one another on. And so we have an IGTV video all about it.
Yeah.
You can find that on Instagram. It's also posted to our Facebook page. And on both of those sites, we're under Nestled Podcast, so that's easy to find. And the group name on Facebook is Nestled in the Neighborhood.
Yeah, and if you have trouble finding the group, because it is a closed group, and so we are approving people as they join the group. If you have trouble finding it, send us a message on Instagram or on Facebook, and we will add you to the group. We're going to be going through Shannon Martin's book. Shannon was on the podcast last week talking about her book, Ministry of Ordinary Places. The Ministry of Ordinary Places.
Yes. And this book club should end the week before Christmas. And we're going to do a local meetup that week. But if you're not local, we want to encourage you to get together with some of your friends who you may also want to join the book club with. And I think as we start to head into a season that really encourages excess in so many ways, it's going to be the perfect time to really talk through and encourage one another, just to really be engaged in the ordinary and appreciative of the ordinary.
Yes. And the other side of that, we wish very much that we were having a big celebration for our 1-year birthday with you guys. And hopefully by next year we'll be able to do that. But this is just a little way that we thought this is going to be a fun way for us to get to know you. And then at the end, we're going to get together. So we're excited about that. We can't wait to hear from you guys and to be encouraged by what you're doing in your communities and with your neighbors and to see what happens.
Yes. So Nestled in the Neighborhood, we will post a link in the show notes.
Yes. And get the book, The Ministry of Ordinary Places, where books are sold, and prepare. The first week discussion is going to be on October 25th.
Yes. Also, that book, as of Friday, was only $10 on Amazon. And so I'm not sure what the price is right now, but you may want to go ahead and hop over there and grab it while it's cheap, if it still is. And it'll be on your doorstep in 2 days if you have Prime. So, and all the people said, thank you, God, for Amazon Prime.
I don't know what we did before Prime.
Man, I had no idea the game changer Amazon was going to be whenever it first came around, but it has changed everything about how I shop. So.
Yeah, we have had Prime for long enough now that, you know how you go through passwords and you don't change them, but you use, I use the same one for everything.
Right.
And this password still has from when we had 4 kids.
Oh, yeah. It's been a minute.
There's a 4 in it.
Yeah. Well, Prime is one of those things that you forget what a bit, like, I don't know, you just get used to it. It's kind of like there was a time before Netflix.
Right.
But you don't really remember.
Well, there was a time that we had Netflix, but it was DVDs.
Right.
Did you do the DVDs?
No, I never did the DVDs because...
It was when we first got married, so you were still young.
Yeah, I got Netflix in college right as they started offering the streaming service. And there was like 3 shows on. I mean, there was nothing to watch. I streamed the entire series of Greek. Because that was the only show on there. So, anyway.
Yeah. So, anyway... Amazon has really saved our lives many times, and it is responsible for about 80% of the products that are in my house renovation.
Yes, and so we will do we'll do an episode when you finish that, or at the very least a blog post if we have a blog, which we don't yet, but maybe. We can link all those Amazon links because you guys, April's house is looking so good.
Oh, we're excited.
It's going to be so great, and y'all are going to want to know where about all
I hope
the things.
Our birthday party next year can be in my yard.
Oh, that would be fun.
That's my goal.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So moving on, in the theme of having a birthday party, if we did have a birthday party, we'd probably play some games.
So we're going to play some games.
And
then we're going to invite you guys in online. So you get to play them with us later on Instagram.
Yes, we will be doing some polls where you can do all these games. So here you go. The first one we're going to do is Would You Rather? April has a list.
Okay. So would you rather be alone or with a group?
Depends on the day. I'm going to say with a group.
I'm going to say alone.
Yeah. It has to be a group of my liking, though. And also, I used to walk into a group of people I didn't know, and that totally excited me. I couldn't wait to get to know every single person. And I don't know if, like, my personality had a limit of the number of people who I think I needed to know. But now that's, like, I will do it, and I do still enjoy getting to know people, but that is not, like, energizing to me to be like, oh, yes, a whole new crop of faces to get to know.
Yeah. Well, I really like quiet.
Yeah.
And I really like solitude.
Well, you have 5 kids, so you're always in a group.
Yes. This morning, as a matter of fact, Lance was like, what is wrong with you? Because we were riding in the car and the kids were arguing. So I told everyone they weren't allowed to talk. And then a few minutes later, I turned the radio off and he said, what in the world? And I was like, do all these noises not bother you?
Right.
I just can't handle just background noise all the time.
You know, on second thought, it's probably motherhood that's made me not always want to get to know everyone.
Probably.
Because I always have someone talking to me. I don't have to talk to other people for that. So,
okay,
anyway.
Next one. To drink hot chocolate or chocolate milk?
Hot chocolate. I can't really stomach chocolate milk anymore as a grown-up.
I can hardly drink milk at all as a grown-up. What happens?
Well, first of all, you learn about milk.
That's true. That's true.
So,
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of hot chocolate, but I guess I'll go with that over chocolate milk. Okay, this one is interesting. I'm not sure if I know an answer. Crawl or hop?
crawl because I'm so out of shape. Go hop across this room and see how out of breath you are.
Well, all I could think is if I hop, I'm gonna pee on myself.
Oh, well, that too.
Because, having babies. But then crawling, my knees are real crackly.
Yeah, but if I gotta choose, I'm crawling all day.
My kneecaps are hurting. Okay. Would you rather it be cold outside or hot?
Hot. I would prefer the weather to be cool.
Medium.
But if we're talking
about... Can I have an in-between?
Yeah, if we're talking about, like, cold or hot, I'll give you an example. My sister-in-law, Rebecca, who listens to this show, her and my brother-in-law, Tyler, went on a trip to Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
Greenland?
Iceland. Greenland is the one that's, like, super icy, and Iceland's green.
But it was
cold.
But it was snowy when they were there. That's why I got confused for a second. But it was Iceland. So they posted a video where they were having the time of their life hiking for miles through this blizzard.
Yes.
And dancing. And it was an adorable video, Rebecca. I really smiled.
I could really appreciate.
And I looked at my husband and said, this would be miserable.
All I would be doing is complaining.
He said, oh my gosh, that would be so terrible. Like, we are not the couple that needs to go hiking through the snow of Iceland. We can't even appreciate the beauty if we're that cold. So anyway, hot.
No. Yeah, if I said hot, Lance is not going with me.
Right.
So I guess cold. At least he will help to keep me warm. He hates the heat. We live in the wrong place.
You do.
We really do.
But do your ears and teeth not hurt in the cold?
Oh, I hate being cold.
I feel like I have some disorder that makes me,
colder?
It's more painful for me to be in the cold than other people.
I've started feeling like my blood is getting thin or something. Because I get cold so much easier now.
Oh, right. I'm cold-natured
sneaking
anyway.
up on me, and I don't know. Something's happening. Okay. Play at the playground or the beach?
Neither. I don't want to play.
Both are awful.
Yeah, I don't want to play either of those places.
I just think of all the gear you have to take to the beach. And the sand, and the crying, and the jellyfish, and...
Do you know my issue with playgrounds? It's other people's kids, so...
Yeah.
I can't discipline other people's children, and all the terrible ones are always at the park.
Yeah.
So,
just
we
running around.
We do
running around being bullies.
Yeah, we do our neighborly duty and go out to the park, but it's not like my ideal afternoon activity.
If any of you ever run into my kids at the playground and they're being bullies, just smack them.
Yeah, knock them down.
That's fine with me. Push them right off the slide. Okay, would you rather listen to music or read a book?
Read a book.
Yeah, same. People are always surprised I don't listen to music.
I think it goes back to the noise thing.
It is the noise thing.
Mm-hmm. It's like you get noised out.
Yeah.
Like you get touched out, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just my senses are all real sensitive.
I'm not even kidding. Whenever I, drop the kids off for school, or whatever, if I'm riding in the car during the day and no one's in the car with me, it's just silent.
Me too.
And I love it.
Yeah.
So.
I don't need noise. Okay. Okay, this one is harder.
Okay.
Not be able to see or hear.
I would say not be able to hear, because as long as I can see the people in front of me, I can still communicate.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot. I feel like I could be more independent.
Yes. My initial thought is definitely I would rather be able to see and not hear than hear and not see.
Yeah.
But if I couldn't hear, then it would be harder to communicate and we couldn't do a podcast.
Well, that's true.
So,
but look,
if we could still hear, we could still do a podcast.
Right. And look, we're not ableists, so we know whether you can't see or can't hear, there's still a lot of good left in life. So, but if I had to choose, I think I would choose to not hear.
Okay, this one's stupid, but Elsa or Anna?
Anna.
Elsa. She's so powerful.
Elsa's probably a type 1 and Anna's definitely a type 7, so
that makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay, a car that goes underwater or flies?
Flies. I have no use for a car that goes underwater.
No, underwater is stupid, and I would feel very claustrophobic.
Yeah, no, I could fly my kids. Yeah,
I would love to fly.
Yeah.
Sure. Take a trip or stay home?
Take a trip.
Yeah.
I mean, not
really
permanently, but yeah. I would say
especially if there was like a little disclaimer of I didn't have to actually do all the preparation for the trip.
Well, for me, if it was free.
If somebody else was paying for it.
That's like all the trips my family ever gets to take. My parents have, or Justin's parents have paid for them usually. They're like, because we're always like, no, sorry, we can't vacation this year again.
Remember, we were on a teacher salary.
Yeah, a teacher salary.
Just one. Okay.
Just a reminder for those of you, we don't make money doing a podcast. So.
We love you. That's why we do it.
Yes.
Okay, eat lettuce or carrots, which is the stupidest choice. Why not give me chocolate or something?
I mean, like, just lettuce?
Lettuce or carrots?
Carrots. I'm not...
They at least have flavor.
Yeah, I'm not
and
just
you can
eat
cook
lettuce.
them.
I mean, I have just eaten lettuce, but not like as a meal. I like munch on lettuce if I'm making a salad or something.
That is a terrible decision. Lettuce cannot be... Carrots at least can be eaten in 2 different forms. You can crunch them with some ranch, or you can cook them in some sugar.
Okay, I have a question.
Sugar. Okay.
What is the strangest thing that you have, like, that you just munch on sometimes that you're like, oh, this is weird, what am I doing? People would think this is...
What is yours?
Well, it's something that I never realized I did until Justin was, like, so disturbed when he saw me doing this. If I'm like, I shouldn't admit this. But he tells people this all the time because he really was so disturbed. And I still do it sometimes, especially when I'm pregnant. If I'm, like, cutting up potatoes, I'll, like, eat a piece of raw potato.
When I was a kid, I used to eat raw potatoes.
Well, I'll still do that. And he's like, can't even get past that. I'll eat almost anything when I'm chopping it. I'll eat a raw piece of asparagus if I'm chopping it up. It's like I just can't stop myself from eating while I'm cooking.
Can't stop, won't stop.
I mean, I'm not going to eat raw meat, but other than that, if I'm cooking it, I'm probably eating it before it's done. I don't eat raw pasta.
When I was little, I used to eat raw spaghetti noodles.
See, that's weird.
It's also weird to eat lettuce.
I know. That's what made me think of the conversation.
I can't think of anything now, though.
Oh, you're such a responsible adult.
I am so responsible. That's exactly what it is.
All right. So we asked you guys who follow us on Instagram to send in some questions for this episode that you wanted us to answer. And most of the questions ended up being like girl chat questions.
Yeah.
So that's fun. So we're going to go through some of those.
We can totally do that.
Yeah. The first question that we got, someone asked us, how did we meet?
Yeah.
Which is such a funny...
It's funny little story.
It's one of those things that kind of makes you look back. You just never know whenever you meet somebody.
You never, ever know. So
where life is going to take you.
Lance and I have been doing ministry in different capacities. I mean, everybody's in ministry, so I just want to make that clear. But
we're all called.
We're all called.
Read the Ministry of Ordinary Places. It talks about it there.
We've always even struggled saying that, but Lance we did student ministry for 12 years before we planted a church, which is crazy because we started doing that when we were teenagers.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Late teenagers. And we were teaching a Disciple Now weekend at a church that later we ended up being both of us on staff at. years, within a year after that. But at that church, Bayleigh and Justin were in, well, Justin was in the youth group.
Yeah, I wasn't. I just was the girlfriend of
Bayleigh was the girlfriend, and I ended up being Bayleigh's leader for the weekend, and Lance was Justin's leader for the weekend. I think that's the first time we met.
I think so too. Yeah. So we were just teenagers.
Lance learned all kinds of things about Justin.
Oh my gosh. We will
not disclose.
I would tell the story that he told Lance, not knowing Lance was going to end up being his youth pastor, but my mother listens to the podcast and his mom, so I'm not going to do that because he told like one of the most embarrassing stories. To this day, it makes me blush.
Well, and the thing is that Justin was part of like a group of friends who they just really loved to make each other really uncomfortable, and that's how that even came up. And
Justin continues to have that in his personality.
Yes.
He makes things so awkward. I love him so much. But if someone's going to make something really awkward, it's going to be him. I've learned to go with it.
Yeah.
But, anyway. So that's how we met. We ended up reconnecting down the road. I mean, we were like Facebook friends.
Yeah, y'all were like seniors in high school.
Yeah. Then. Yeah. So, and much closer in age than we realized. Mm-hmm. Just because y'all are very young doing what you were doing. And so then we were like Facebook friends or whatever. But then whenever we went off to college and then came back, April and Lance had just planted their church. And it was the first church that we visited. And we just never left. So,
yeah. We actually had a conversation with some people the other day from our church. And somebody said, if you could give out an MVP trophy to anybody. And Lance was like, I don't know. And then one of the other guys said, probably Bayleigh and Justin, because they just quietly have just been doing it with us for 6 years. Just whatever anybody asked of them. So they unknowingly are the MVPs of our church.
Oh, well, that's not true, but thank you. We're glad to be there. And I came out of... I guess I'll just go into this on the podcast. I was raised Catholic. And so whenever Justin and I started dating, I knew that my desire was not to continue with Catholicism. But every church, every Baptist church I'd visited really rubbed me the wrong way for a couple of reasons. Reasons that I still despise to this day. But one of the things was, it just so happened, and I know Baptist churches don't preach on this every Sunday, but it just so happened that it was like every time I would visit a Baptist church, I would hear someone preach about like how their way was the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And talk bad about other denominations. And I always just felt like the gospel is strong enough to cover other denominations.
Yes.
You know, as long as we're all believing... ultimately, that Christ died for our sins. And anyway, that's a whole rabbit hole. But with that, we came out of college looking for the church that we were now a married couple and going to attend, and had kind of a long list of requirements, so to speak, in that I just didn't like the way that the church in general was doing church. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like coming together every Sunday and hearing, do this, don't do that, and then not seeing any fruit. Mm-hmm. And, like, being like, well, there's a feather in my cap because I'm such a good Christian that comes to church every week. And I was going, where are the foster parents in the church?
Yes.
I
was going to say, I think that your heart for the vulnerable, it's always been there. We did their premarital counseling, and that was one of the things that I say all the time, like, that was in them from the beginning. They wanted to adopt. They wanted to love people in hard places. And so, like, the message that we're talking about has always been something that Bayleigh is very passionate about. And then to go into church where there's all these resources and all that kind of stuff, and then you're looking around like, why are we spending all this on us and nobody's actually reaching out? And that's not necessarily a true measure, I guess, because it's not that people aren't doing anything. It's just sometimes it's hard to see it.
It can feel that way. Whenever you're going, why are we buying another building?
Yes.
We don't need another building. But there are families in our community that need a house.
Right.
And we could build a few of those where we're going to pay for this building.
Yeah.
And so with that, whenever we went to South City the first Sunday, the message that we heard, we were like, we can resonate with that. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of stuck it out and said, this isn't the easiest way to do church, but it's worth it. And we've maintained that the whole way through. So
yeah. So, and the other part of a question that someone asked was, how did we start working together? And
God.
it was, yeah, I mean, really through doing some events and things together at church, we found quickly that we worked well together in a high stress environment. And we're both pretty strong personalities, and that is hard to find. In somebody that you just know, like, you can kind of, your rhythms work together and that kind of thing. And that was how we ended up starting our design business, was just, it felt like, hey, we could do this.
Yeah, we worked together well under stress, and we had gone through even some really rough relational things with other people, and were able to, like, see things in a similar way, and realized very quickly we were able to, like, call each other out when we need to be called out on something, and no offense is taken, and that's hard to find in a friend. And so with that, we felt confident in going
that
into
our
business
relationship
together.
could handle us going into business together.
So that's kind of our, like, go to business to get into business together with a friend if
actually my thing would probably, usually you shouldn't go into business together
you have
with a
to
friend.
know that it's just the right relationship.
Every once in a while the relationship can handle it.
It's kind of like whenever I chose a spouse, I knew we could handle certain things together and that it would work out. So it's kind of like that, like, don't make the commitment if you care about your friend to start a business.
Yeah, and then it's been a really cool thing. We had a conversation last weekend with a lady when we were speaking at a ladies' event, and that every time the Lord has, like, put something on our heart for a change in our business, it's been both of us that we were both ready for it at the same time. When we started the podcast, there was no pushback really or question. It was just, okay, well, let's do that. And then when we felt like it was time to kind of let the design side of our business go and to really focus in on this, and we're still trying to grow that and growing our opportunities for speaking and sharing about loving your home and loving your neighbor. We were both on board with that. It was just it felt like the right time. So even that, I think the biggest thing that has connected us has been just the Lord has done that.
Absolutely. And we're just so thankful He's blessed us in so many ways in regards to this business, and just giving us a peace with all those changes. And
for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. We could talk on that for a long time.
Yeah.
We don't have enough minutes in this podcast to talk on all of our friendship stuff that we want to tell people, what to let go of, what to hold on to. But maybe one day.
Someday.
One day we'll have a friendship
It'll all
episode.
be sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
So were there any other questions that we were going to hit on?
Okay, so with that, and to kind of wrap things up, April, what would you say has been your favorite part or the biggest blessing over the last year of this podcast? That, like, we started on a whim, and some weeks we failed and didn't get an episode out, and some weeks we were walking on cloud nine because we're really proud of what we put out. What would you say has been the best part for you?
I think the best part has been the connection that we've been able to make with people really all over the world. I mean, we've had guests that were as far away as New Zealand.
Yeah.
And so I think that has been the thing that is so cool. Every time we call somebody on Skype and they pop up and we get to talk to someone, and as they're talking, we're like, yes! There are connecting points and ways that we can learn and grow from people all over. And this cool thing and this avenue that we've been given to be able to do that, it's just a really, really neat opportunity. And those relationships, even though those people may forget about us, like, I feel like they're our friends.
Right. They really matter to us.
We really made those relationships.
And what a time to be alive, right?
Yeah.
When we can, like, call someone in New Zealand over the computer and see their face.
Right.
And chat with them on video. It's so cool.
And then we get to invite thousands of people into it every week with us.
Right. Have you guys seen the meme that's, like, a kid sitting next to the billboard looking like they're all friends, eating ice cream, and it says, I'll post that in the show notes. This is what I feel like listening to podcasts.
Yes.
I love that meme. And I think that's been, like, my favorite part is that I know we always say this, but we are so humbled whenever we see the numbers come in each week that people are listening. And we love all of you friends so much.
Yes.
And it has been so encouraging to me, like, as you guys reach back out and tell us that we're encouraging you and tell us, like, oh, that guy said this and it made me do that. And as someone who always has had a lot to say, whether there is an audience or not, like, and is passionate about, like April said, the vulnerable, and passionate about loving the people next to you, and passionate about finding things to be thankful for. Like, I'm so thankful that now there are people who are connecting with that are listening and then saying, yes, thank you for saying that. I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And I feel the same way. Whenever we had a meeting about our gifts with our church a couple weeks ago, and they asked, what things are you passionate about? Because we were trying to connect our giftings with our passions, and what can we do with those things? And one of the first things that came to mind was, I love whenever I'm able to speak something or a truth to someone, and then they take it and they do something with it. There is something and not like in a haughty way, but just it's so encouraging when I feel like the Lord has given me some kind of insight, or he's shown me something, or he's done something in my heart, and I'm able to share that, and then it does something for someone else. It's really, truly inspiring, and it makes me feel like that I'm living out my purpose.
Yeah, and it also makes me want to go and do it. Like, whenever we hear and see you guys go and do, it, like, encourages us to go and do, and I know that encourages people around you to go and do, and so, I don't know, it's just like, we're 1 year in, we're still here, we weren't sure if we would be.
I know.
And we are not, like, crawling through the mud, wondering how we're going to continue going on. And like, we are excited. We are more excited moving into year 2 than we were in year 1. And I can't wait to see
what's going to happen. It's going to be really exciting.
Thank you guys so much, as always.
Thanks for being a part of it.
Being a part of it, yeah.
If it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't be having a birthday party. So,
it's true.
Eat some cake.
Yes, eat some cake.
Maybe invite your neighbor to eat cake with you.
Tag us on Instagram if any of you eat cake, especially if you eat cake with the neighbor.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Nestled Podcast.
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to the podcast and to all of you. Yes. So
Thanks. Thank you guys for taking a peek in our nest.
We'll be back next week with Mercedes Cotry. As always, the door will be open.